Welcome back to the couch. I'm Dez.
And I'm Jay.
And this is our Rocky 2 review. Coming up next.
Left and right to the head. Apollo was saying, come on, come on, come on. And Apollo is scoring points. He's scoring points. Another left, another left.
Rocky 2 is a 1979 sports drama written and directed by Sylvester Stallone. It stars Stallone, Carl Weathers, Burgess Meredith, Talia Shire, and Burt Young.
The story picks up immediately after the events of the first Rocky film. Rocky has gone the distance with Apollo Creed, and this unexpected result fuels Creed's arrogance. He's able to goad Rocky back into the ring for a final bout to determine once and for all who the true champion really is.
So I hadn't seen the first Rocky in our first review. I hadn't seen Rocky 2. I haven't seen any of the Rockies. We should probably point that out. I haven't seen any of the Rockies other than the first one and the second one now.
We start off in the hospital after they've taken the ambulance ride from the arena to the hospital to get like precautionary examinations and so forth. All the reporters are there, and Apollo comes out and is basically chastising Rocky as if he lost the fight.
Nobody goes the distance with me. Get up out of that chair, chump, and let's finish this fight right now.
Oh, don't. Please,
Look, I'm
sit down.
talking.
Is he serious?
I can beat that chump. I'll fight him any place, anytime.
Does that mean there'll be a rematch?
I said any place, anytime, man. Can you hear?
Hey, yo, Apollo, you said there weren't gonna be no rematch.
Look, chump, any place, anytime.
Rocky, a rematch could be worth millions.
I really want to watch these two films back to back as one big film because Apollo even says it himself where he took the fight too lightly the first time. He's coming out in that Uncle Sam gear and it's all kind of a joke almost. It's all a presentation. Then he realizes, yeah, Italian Stallion, he's not going to go down so easily.
No one's ever stood a chance. No one's even supposed to lay a finger on him. And the fact that Rocky went the distance is just too much for his ego to bear. Apollo thought, I'm just going to get rid of this guy, and he couldn't pull it off. And Rocky actually hurt him in the end of the first film. And there was a scene in Rocky 2 where Rocky goes into Apollo's room and asks him, did you give me your best shot? And I love that Apollo just kind of was really open and honest with him, was like, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And that's the whole impetus for wanting the rematch. In the first fight, Rocky was the one that needed to prove to himself that he could hang with the champ. If I could just go the distance, not necessarily win, just go the distance with the champ, I prove that I am somebody in this world to myself. Now it's the other way around. Apollo's the one that feels like he has something to prove just because his ego was up here and it was crushed. It was dented severely.
Both these characters in their own way are trying to move on from that first fight. And Rocky's way of doing that is getting married and let's have a child and let's get a condominium.
How's about investing in condominiums? It's safe.
Condominiums.
Yeah, condominiums.
I never used them.
He's moved on, he's doing commercials, he's trying that stuff out, and then you got Apollo, you get to his home life, and all he's doing is yelling and complaining and angry that the fight went the way it did. One of the letters Apollo reads out loud is, go kill yourself.
Yeah, in that moment I'm thinking, just wait till Twitter comes out, buddy.
Right.
The characters in and of themselves have grown so much since the first film. There's been a pretty sizable progression between, I'm just going to go ahead and say pretty much everyone with the exception of Paulie, because Paulie pretty much just stays the same dude the whole time.
After the fight in the hospital, now he's mended up, so Rocky's on his way out of the hospital with Adrian, and then we have kind of a sweet little moment between the two of them.
He does the most rockiest proposal ever.
What do you think you're doing for like the next 40 or 50 years?
What do you mean?
I was wondering if you wouldn't mind marrying me very much.
What'd you say?
If you wouldn't mind marrying me too much.
And what I love about that moment is that now in Rocky 2, this is the sequel to this, obviously that's why they call it Rocky 2. But now Rocky is gravitating towards the things that Apollo had, the family, the kids, and all that. And Rocky is finally satisfied with who he is and not questioning himself anymore.
There's a simplicity and an innocence to Rocky and Adrian. He doesn't care that Apollo's out there and whatever. He doesn't want to fight again. He is moving on to what he feels is more important in life. Apollo is now taking all that for granted. There's definitely a shift in balance in priorities for both characters.
If you put yourself in Apollo's shoes, for a guy to go through pretty much his whole entire life without ever knowing any kind of defeat in that particular arena, like boxing, and finally being faced with that realization is that I am not invincible. That's got to be a crush to the ego, especially at his advanced age and that point in his career.
One thing to point out here, it's 3 years later in real time that this film's coming out, but in the film world, it's only been a year between the first fight and the second fight. Other than the soundtrack is definitely more disco, it feels very much like it just happened right after the first one.
Right.
They did a great job paying attention to that kind of detail. So Rocky and Adrian do get married, and they're on their way out from the church before they run into...
Yeah, and there's a cool moment in the wedding before they get outside where it just made me chuckle. I thought it was funny.
I do.
Thanks.
Io declaro che siete sposo e sposa.
Just cracked me up.
No, that's a very Rocky.
Yeah,
moment.
oh, thank you. like he wasn't sure what she was gonna say.
He doesn't ever assume anything.
That's just one of those little small things about his character that makes you want to root for him constantly because he's just this big goofy lug.
Rocky and Adrian, they've kind of got some money they got from the fight. Not a lot, but enough where Rocky wants to go spend a little.
He really wants to be the good guy that provides for his wife.
Rocky, he's going to make all this money from commercials. That doesn't go so well.
He ends up working at his old training facility where he broke those carcasses at, just manual labor. The cool thing about that whole sequence to me is like, if you're Rocky, that is the first time in his life that he's ever had to earn a living without his fists. Because he was either collecting or fighting in the ring to get his money. And now he's in a space where he's trying to capitalize on his notoriety because he did so well in the first fight. Once he screws up the commercial stuff, if you're Adrian, like you kind of find out that Rocky can't read throughout the course of trying to make this commercial. That had to be the first time that Adrian realized this.
And if you look at the way she handles that, she's just very supportive of him. They complement each other very well.
We're kind of watching the film through Rocky's point of view. And then sporadically we get to see what's going on in Apollo's world, which is the opposite. He's kind of got like this more chaotic environment.
There's probably part of him thinking, why did I do all that? Maybe that wasn't worth it after all. I set up this big old fight to make myself look good, and now look what's happened. It stays Rocky's film, but you never forget what's going on with Creed because they always go back to him just enough. One of my favorite scenes, maybe my favorite scene in the whole film, is actually with Creed and his trainers.
I saw you beat that man like I never saw no man get beat before, and the man kept coming after you. We don't need that kind of man in our life. I know what you're feeling. Let it go. You're the champ.
His delivery, like his whole that whole segment, it belongs to the Duke character. I mean, I love that whole segment. Apollo makes a great statement that pretty much sums up his entire character.
You think I beat him the last time? Do you? You got the decision. Man, I won, but I didn't beat him.
Rocky's in this place where he's trying to be that provider, protector, the patriarch of the family, because now he's got a wife and they've got a baby on the way. There's no more opportunities coming in. It's not like he can do another commercial and get a quick $100,000. And now he wants to go back to fighting, and Adrian doesn't want him to do that. I got a good thing going. I don't want to lose it. We can't take these risks. And Rocky is feeling a certain kind of way because I can't provide for my family. I mean, that's the only thing I know that I'm good at, that I can bring money into this house with, and I can't do that either. So he's in a real crossroads of his life. He wants to give fighting another shot, and he goes to visit Mickey, and there's this great scene with Burgess and Stallone.
Yeah, probably my other favorite scene in the film.
Well, maybe it's you who ain't got it no more, you know that? Huh?
Yeah, that's... Now look, you didn't even see that coming, did you? No. Well, that was from a broken down pug like me. What do you think the champ would do to you?
I gotta be around it.
What better way to prove the point that he's trying to make than to just smack him across the face like that? And then Rocky even tears up a bit when he realizes Mickey may be right, and there's this emotion that I wasn't expecting. You get this swell of emotion from Rocky to the point where he actually tears up, and that just adds so much to this already great scene. Adrian's worrying. It's for a good reason. He could actually die in the next fight. One thing I do have to say, though, they bring up the eye many times. Like, he could go blind. If he gets hit there, he's probably going to go blind. That's not a good idea. He could kill you. And then later when we get to the fight, he does get hit in the eye, and then it's kind of a non-issue. So I felt like they built that up for no reason.
There was a point in the film where Rocky said that the doctor recommended that he doesn't fight anymore. They were overselling it and being over dramatic about you might go blind, this, and that. But it was more one of those things where you don't really need to fight, but Rocky finds a reason why he does need to fight. So that's why he's willing to take a chance, but there's no guarantee either way. I never really thought that he was really going to lose his vision. Never.
So I was paying way too much attention to it, is what you're trying to say.
Well, not. I know it's valid what you're saying. It's just I really didn't take it like the eye was a big, huge deal.
This leads it to a little tactic that Apollo kind of cooks up where he's going to publicly start humiliating, and goading Rocky on, like, look, I'm going to make this guy come fight me whether he likes it or not. And it works. Especially with Mickey. He goes from, nope, not going to happen. As soon as he sees Apollo on TV, he's literally at Rocky's doorstep going, when are we going to kill this guy?
Yeah, which was awesome.
I think everyone wants to see them back in the ring together. But there's only one problem. Where is Rocky Balboa? I'm Brent Musburger.
I think we ought to knock his block off.
Absolutely.
He even puts this in the newspaper, his go-to is Italian chicken instead of the Italian stallion. One of the main reasons, if not the main reason, he picks Rocky to fight is because he's always got a cool name, the Italian stallion. He's very much aware of Rocky's name in the ring. And so when he's on the TV, kind of, egging, goading him on, he says 2 or 3 times, Italian chicken, Italian, whatever your name is. It's like, okay, I think you're really projecting your own low self-esteem. So Adrian's really distraught now because she didn't want him to fight at all. And now that Mickey's 100% into it, of course, now Rocky is too. It's a bummer to watch if you put yourself in her shoes.
Yeah, it is. You get why. She's got really good reasons.
But you also get it,
Yeah, you totally get it. So that's great writing right there because both sides got great arguments. Adrian's dislike of Rocky engaging in this rematch with Apollo is affecting Rocky's training because, that's the number one thing that he doesn't want to do is disappoint Adrian. His heart is not 100% into his training, and it's definitely showing throughout his sparring and his preparation for the fight. And you juxtapose that with Apollo's training, which is 1,000% serious. He's knocking sparring partners out left and right. He's killing it on the heavy bag. He's jump roping like a maniac. I mean, he is 1,000% focused for this training.
Adrian knows he's out there training for this fight, so that's affecting her emotionally and physically even. And so she has this premature birth with their baby, and then she slips into a coma. Now he doesn't care about the training at all. The little he did is gone, and doesn't care about the fight anymore. She does eventually come out, and that is the catalyst for him going, okay, now I'm in this 100%, because she gives him his blessing. Once he gets that blessing from her, she comes out of the coma. It's almost a Spider-Man, Mary Jane moment, go get him, Tiger, that kind of thing. And then he can put himself 100% into it. We get a new training montage. It could very easily have been just kind of, we kind of went through this in the last one. I didn't feel that way at all because they differentiated enough. Last time we had the punching the carcasses in the slaughterhouse. This time it's trying to catch a chicken. And then we get a repeat of running up the Philly steps and all that, but it's different.
It's awesome how there's no traffic in Philly at all.
Yeah, there's no traffic.
There's no traffic, none whatsoever. All those kids hundreds of kids can just run in the street right behind Rocky and not one honk horn, nothing.
It's almost like they sectioned it off to film a movie there.
Almost. I don't know. Just want to back up for a second. When Adrian was still in the hospital, that's probably my favorite scene in the movie. Rocky's reading to her right before she comes back to. That's a perfect tie-in to what was happening before in the film when she realized that he can't read, and then they have that moment in the bed where he's reading to her to improve his reading skills. And then that comes back around. It was tied in beautifully when she was like in her coma. Now he's reading to her, hoping that she's still listening. Just keep your mind active. Don't leave me. Stay with me. That kind of thing. He's just reading to her. I thought that's one of my favorite parts of the whole film.
We're leading right into the climactic fight of this film now, but before we get into that, we can't not talk about the other amazing. So I've talked about 2 of my favorite scenes. This would be the third. When Rocky finally decides, hey, I'm going to do this fight, and they do a press conference, the attitude differences between Apollo and Rocky are just so superbly done. It's one of the
they're
most...
sitting right next to one another, but
they're closer sitting to each other than we are right now, probably, and they're really talking crap about each other. Well, at least Apollo is.
Last time I took the fight too lightly, and this man was just plain lucky. But this time you all will see the real Apollo Creed. The whole world's gonna see the real Apollo Creed. Lightning fast and hard to catch. No playing, no jiving, just business.
All right. Rocky, do you think you have a chance this time against Apollo?
I don't know, he looks pretty mad.
What do you mean by that?
He's this lovable, almost teddy bear.
Yeah, he's just so sincere.
So we get into the fight.
No big ring entrance, no George Washington wig, no tossing out bicentennial coins. He is laser focused, like, you know.
Very different this
very
time.
Different, very completely different attitude.
It just shows to me how scared inside Apollo really is, because the first time, you know, you say you're going down, I think he gets it. He says it 4 or 5 times. That's very telling to me.
And he can't crack him. I mean, that's a microcosm of what Rocky is. I mean, no matter what he does, he's just like, it's like he's impenetrable. Like my guerrilla warfare tactics, trying to get inside your head, or you're going down, trying to intimidate you, that kind of stuff. None of those tricks work on Rocky, and that's got to be messing with Apollo up here too.
There's good reason for him to think that these tactics are going to work, because the first time when he gets on TV, he actually does get Rocky mad enough to come out of retirement and come fight him. So he succeeded in doing that, but then after that, nothing he tries works.
Mickey and Rocky have come up with this great game plan to switch their style from the southpaw to a more orthodox positioning to help protect his eye and to surprise Apollo. And then all of a sudden, Apollo comes out of nowhere. It kind of shows you that he is a different class of fighter than what Rocky is. I mean, I think there was even a moment where the commentators mentioned it, that like, how is this guy who doesn't have that much skill hanging with the champ of the world the way that he does? Ultimately, Apollo drops him, knocks him down in the first round, and then we go back into that same cycle where nothing you try works, and then Rocky just gets up and keeps coming and doesn't stop. So you just got to beat this guy's face in, and he's going to keep coming. He's like Jason Voorhees. No matter what you do, he's coming after you.
You've got Apollo being very, like you said, laser focused and very coached, stick and move, and he's actually got tactics where I feel like Rocky's just kind of like, let's do this.
They had a game plan going in, and Rocky just reverts to what he knows. Just will and guts, and I'm just face first, just going to take everything you got, and I'll be standing whenever the dust settles, no matter what.
I do have to mention growing up as a kid, because I didn't see Rocky till now, but I grew up playing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. So much of that is from this film, and I'm realizing now the stick and move and all the little quotes that he gives to Mac and everything. And I knew it was parodying, or at least inspired by Rocky as a kid. I knew that much at least, but I didn't realize how on the nose some of that stuff really is. So now I want to go back and play Mike Tyson's Punch-Out again.
We have this great back and forth battle between Rocky and Apollo. I don't have very many negatives in the fight, but this would be one of them. The way that it ended it's not technically accurate. They both go down at the same time, and they kind of set it up to where the winner that rises before the count of 10 would be the winner of the fight, right? But in reality, what happened was Rocky knocked Apollo down with a punch. Rocky could have laid down on the ground for the whole 10 count, and if Apollo's the only one under the pressure to get up by the count of 10, because he went down as the result of a punch. Rocky went down as the result of exhaustion. In real boxing, the only one that could have been counted out was Apollo Creed. So, but I understand why they did it for the movie. It gives a dramatic effect, and if you're not really well versed in the sport, you might not pick up on that. But I love boxing, and that's one of the. I was like, that doesn't work. It doesn't have to mirror the real life of boxing 100%. But the reason why I nitpick it is because all they had to do is have them swing at the same time and connect at the same time, and they both go down as the result of a punch. Instead of Rocky hitting Apollo and then he just falls down. That one little tiny nuanced correction would have made it a lot more believable.
Well, I'm learning here because you're describing me. I thought it was one of the best parts of the film because I figured, well, Rocky's got to win this one just based on the narrative that's going on here, the plot. I thought it was very smart writing to have them both crawling up. But now that you've pointed that out, you're right. If they could have just made that one little correction, and they could have still done the climbing up and it would have been the same, I would have rather they'd have done that now that I know that. But it does work if you don't know it. So Rocky wins. He's triumphant. He's become the new heavyweight champion of the world, which is the shock to everybody. It's a shock to the world.
Shock to the world,
right?
yeah.
And Adrian was at home this time with the baby and Paulie watching the fight on TV. So he does another yo Adrian, I won kind of thing. It's kind of in some ways the same film, but it's just different enough to be awesome in and of itself.
Rocky 2 was an excellent film. The thing I love the most about Rocky 2, it feels like this is just the second half of one long story if you combine the first two movies. And the second half of the story is better than the first half of the story. The characters were great, and they evolved more over the course of the story. It was cast well, the acting was great, the fight scenes were awesome. There's very little for me to nitpick about this film, so I'm gonna go ahead and give Rocky 2 4.5 shiny bald heads.
Rocky 2 gives us more of the same, but in a good way. So we get more of the characters that we love from the first one. We get more of the interactions from the first one. We get more Apollo than we did in the first one. At least I feel we did. And so more Carl Weathers works for me. Very, very entertaining. Looking forward to more. So that's what it really needs to do, is make me look forward to more Rockies, which I am. So I'm going to give Rocky 2 3 out of 5 shiny bald heads. But I think it is definitely a film like the first one. The more I watch it, the more I'll appreciate it. Last time on the couch, we reviewed Logan. So if you missed it, now's a great time to check it out. And don't forget to take a look at our original Rocky Classic review. If you enjoy what we're doing, please hit that like button and subscribe. To receive alerts when new videos are posted, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thanks for joining us on the couch.